John, would you say a little bit more about publishing and specifically what you do with books? Because you mentioned over lunch that the Learning Company is coming back in book
Okay, well, we're into the 6th edition. I think the first edition must have been early 70s. It was invented in a toilet at Manchester Business School, where I was talking to a publisher from McGraw Hill. And he said, as publishers do, have you got anything coming up? And I said, well, possibly, but is there anything that you're looking for? And he said a book that managers could use on the train in small, 10, 20-minute type bites to develop themselves. And at the time I was working with Mike Pedler and Tom Boydell, who were running a lot of exercises in the classroom. And I'd just done a study with Roger Stewart on the qualities of the effective manager. So I thought we put those together. And that's hardly how it stays. There's a diagnostic work based on the qualities of the effective manager, which is empirically based, might need some updating. And then a series of exercises which are rather than teacher-trainer-led, are self-done with a sort of DIY toolkit, and that's been the structure of the book through the 5 existing editions and the imminently forthcoming 6th edition. But one of the things that's different about the 6th edition is that, as well as being the hard copy paperback, it's going to come out as 7th, I think it is, Kindle Shorts, which are little packages which you can buy for presumably a modest proportion of the cost. The first one is the diagnostic stuff and the introductory stuff, and the other 6 are the exercises, I think, the DIY exercises, I think packaged around the learning areas to which they're relevant, and we'll see how that goes. But my understanding is, publishers on the whole seem to me to be remarkably slow in adapting to the virtual world, as they are for other things. But I think there is a tipping point here which has been passed largely through Kindle, and I think probably it's just gone over 50% of books now come in virtual form through Kindle or like. I think I can get Kindle on my iPad. Don't use it much so far, but certainly I do as much as I can. Electronically I use EndNote, which is a bibliographical resource, and I keep papers, perhaps rather old-fashionedly, in folders and files, cross-reference to it, and I make various packages of those available to people I choose through Dropbox, which is, as you know, that cloud-based resource.
Yes.
Maybe at the upper limit of what I can use in that, but there are other ones. There's a Google one and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm just
there's lots of
familiar with Dropbox. It seems to work fairly well. It's fairly easy to use. Same way people don't understand. I think if people drag and drop resources out of my file, they can sometimes remove them. So I put a little warning notice. I've had an episode recently with quite a lot of AWOL.
Oh, no, that's no good.
But there are ways around it, maybe ways of locking them in, or I certainly put a little note in and tell people to read it first, so that you can either, if you open it and save it, you can, or if you transfer it to not a dongle, a USB stick. Right. Yeah, that'll do it. And a number of my things are sound files, like this will be, and you can't sort of open that and save it, so you've got no alternative than to shift it to a USB drive or the like.
But the book you also mentioned, the Learning Company, that you're going to do a new edition of that.
Yeah.
Do you know yet what sort of form that will take as a publication?
I wouldn't be surprised if the kind of structure and form is somewhat the same, but the content is modified. So we'll have basic models, like the eFlow models I described earlier, and the characteristics, which may change, probably be more virtual stuff in there, more ethical stuff, more on the side. Yeah, though they're not absent in the current thing. I'm fairly sure we will apply network theory. That doesn't just mean social networking; it means networking in the broadest sense. So that's nodes and links and implosion and explosion. I can say more about those with examples if you like. And more obviously addressing the generative levels I talked about earlier, though except in the most organisations, and perhaps for good reasons, are at the adaptive level. But make it more easy for them to see the steps up to the next level as appropriate. The previous editions had things called glimpses, which are like mini or micro case studies, which seem to work well. I'd be surprised if we don't stick with that tradition. And I'm pretty sure we'll do Kindle Shorts or the equivalent or something more fully web-based. So I didn't mention, in terms of the Managed Guide to Self-Development, we're also going to have a website with space for dialogue, discussion groups, with and without the authors. We've yet to, let's get on with that actually, yet to sort of structure that up, but it'll be anything from emails. We'll probably go for the low-tech end, discussion space. Might do a LinkedIn discussion area. LinkedIn being the, I think, more professional of the, compared with Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, a lot more obviously professional.
This is the only one I use to any serious degree. And it has had some benefits. And at a personal level, I mean, on the whole, you don't make much money out of books. You either have to write a bestseller like Peter Morton or Peter Senge, or write a widely used textbook like Johnson and Scholes on strategy. And then you've got a big MBA, master's degree, undergraduate market. They're the big winners. And I think Jerry Johnson makes $25,000 a year. Which is, I mean, you wouldn't give up a day job for that, but it's quite a useful supplement to your pension. But the main benefit to authors, if they want a kind of material or financial one, is the consulting and talking that it leads to. And when I was feeling cheeky, used to lecture in learning organisation, as I still do occasionally, I sometimes used to say, you're paying me £1,000 or whatever it is, you can buy the book for £20. I mean, I'm sure my jokes and my magnetic personality had a lot of value, and the chance to discuss it with the author, but even so, I think that's odd. But I think, one of the indicators in terms of like the Coles learning cycle applied to managers is the kind of activists don't like to be caught reading. If they're sitting in their office reading a book and somebody comes in and catches them at it, it's as though they were looking at a pornographic magazine or something. Not a dumb thing to do.
Going to a talk or talking to is more active.
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, I suppose it's more of an opportunity to network, and it's often a bit of a treat. So, I mean, often management development